Welcome back, guys. This is my little mate Harley. He's a 4.5-month-old chocolate border collie, and he's training to be a little trail dog with me. You might have seen him pop up in the last video. Harley is going to help us decide which is the best Kenevo, the Kenevo or the Kenevo SL. I think you know which one he likes best, but we're going to work through it together, figure out why. You interested? You don't care, do you? Alright, so Harley decided that sleeping was more important than going trail riding, so we have Hanby. Now Dee rides a Kenevo, and she's going to jump on board the Kenevo SL for the very first time. So I figured the best way to, I don't know, get an idea of what bike does what and what an unbiased person would say about it was to throw someone that had never ridden it and is very used to the Kenevo and just see what they thought. All right, Dee, so it's too big by a long way.
Yes.
This is a descent, nothing too hardcore in there. So I'm gonna follow you.
Righto, let's do it.
Good job. So how was that?
That was pretty sick.
Was it?
My biggest complaint though, is the seat drop. The seat's too high. I just couldn't get down low enough. Every time I went to get down low, I was sitting on the seat.
But what did it descend like in comparison to the big dog?
Really good. Really stable. Probably felt a bit more like a normal standard bike than an e-bike, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, it felt really good.
What about cornering? Because we all know in the corners, these tend to hold a lot more traction.
Definitely did. I could definitely feel it was definitely would hold through the corners a lot better. First couple, I was probably a bit doogie on, in the sense that I was committing like I would normally commit on my Kenevo. And then as I got accustomed with the bike, definitely hit the corners, I think, at a bit better pace, and was taking the corners a bit better as I got further down.
What do you think comparatively for maneuverability?
Definitely really maneuverable. Very nimble bike. Very able, very nimble bike. Would be way more nimble than the standard Kenevo. It turns on a dime. Little times you oversteer because the Kenevo with triple clamp just doesn't respond as quick as what you probably like. Where this definitely, it's got all the bells and whistles, very capable and very nimble little bike. Well, it's not so little, let's be honest. It's quite a big bike.
And what about the suspension? How'd that feel?
Really good. It was a soft ride. Really soft ride.
So a soft ride, even though it's set up for someone that it's close
Absolutely.
to 20 kilos heavier than you.
Yeah, it was a soft ride. I can't say that I was feeling bone jarred. I took my Kenevo down that track yesterday and I felt it bone jarring and felt it, you know, bounce across the track. Definitely didn't do it today.
Big wheels?
It didn't bother me. Can't say that I'm running 27 on mine. Can't say it bothered me. I was happy with it.
And smaller motor?
You could definitely notice it going up.
Two of the steepest corners on this trail. No pressure, D.
Yes. It's a hard one.
Well done.
That's easy.
Monstered around it.
My heart rate, my resting heart rate's normally at 48 beats per minute, so I would say I've got a fair amount of aerobic fitness, and at the top of that climb I was doing 148, so it was up there. Yeah, so it will work you as hard as you want to work, definitely.
How did you feel? Was there any point where you thought this bike isn't going to get me up this hill?
No, definitely not.
We're making our way up to a little trail. We're going to watch D rip down the trail. This is what we're climbing right now. Certainly not the easiest thing to do one-handed. D's just riding away from me like she tends to. Climbing in an incredibly loose, steep hill, one-handed while filming.
Honestly don't know how you do that.
Look at this view. It's a Great Barrier Reef just out there. It's been great having Dee along because Dee spent the last couple of years on this Kenevo. So she knows it very well, I would say intimately. Getting an opportunity to hop on the KSL for the first time, and an unbiased opinion for that matter, gives us a really good idea of how it actually rides. So we've both decided that it's slower on the climbs.
Definitely.
It's not impossible. You don't get necessarily left behind.
No.
I'm not getting to the top of the climb, nor was Dee feeling like we were riding a bike. We were just a little bit slower than what the full-blown Kenevo was. Dee, however, found it much more manageable on the descents, which is the fun part.
Absolutely. Like, let's be honest, it's about the miles of smiles. We do it for the downhill. I do anyway.
That's brilliant. So it was easier to descend?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, the only downside was obviously that the bike was just too big for me. The seat post was up too high and I couldn't get down low enough, but I'm sure if I was on my size bike, it would be sensational.
Awesome. The only thing that Dee was disappointed about was that she has nowhere to keep her snacks. Now the Kenevo, it doesn't have SWAT that we're accustomed to from Specialized bikes. The KSL, however, does have SWAT. Now I know a lot of you in the forums will be like, no, it doesn't have SWAT, but it actually does. Hidden just underneath here is a tallest removal point, and this whole guard will come off, and that's where you keep your Skittles. Did you know it had SWAT?
No, I did not know I had SWAT.
That is simply the greatest thing I've ever seen on an e-bike ever. The Skittles storage box. Well done, Specialized. You've done well again. Look how much room's up in there. You could put Mars bars up in there if you wanted. I wonder if you can fit a can of Monster Energy in there. All right, guys. So we've tested the Kenevo and the Kenevo SL. Listen, they're both amazing bikes. One does something a little bit better than the other. The other does something else better than the other. So when it's all said and done, buy the bike that's going to suit you the best and avoid buying the bike that isn't going to be the one that you need. I'm Nicholson. Have a rad ride out there. Thanks heaps for coming along. Peace.